Oh, hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 299, I am very lucky, privileged to have Ore Apampa on the podcast. She is a voice actor. She is an Afro voice actor, artist. Very nice, like it. Also an African voiceover artist, e-learning, animator, gaming, and entrepreneur. To say one of the things or two, and also a bit of a YouTuber. How are you today, my lady?
Doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. Recovering bit by bit. So yes, please excuse my sort of if my energy levels are not at the right level. It That was yesterday, Brighton. That was another thing. Brighton Marathon people. Woo! Kicked my backside. Yeah. But yeah, you are very interesting. Like, I have to say, like, what made you become a voiceover artist?
I kind of stumbled into it by accident, actually.
Mm.
So I listen to a lot of audiobooks. It's how I consume most books. So if a book comes out and I think I want to read it, first thing I see is, is it available in audiobook? If it's not available in audiobook, then I have to ask myself, am I actually gonna read it all the way through before I actually buy it? But if it's an audiobook, I'll buy it, and my finish rate on audiobooks is a lot higher than ebooks or physical books, just because I can do it whilst doing other things. I find I'm always doing stuff.
Mm.
So yeah, and then when I'm going on long car trips, for example, it's nice to have a book kind of going to keep you company. So that's how I started like into audiobooks, and then I listened to an audiobook once from the character and the whole plot was set in Nigeria, and they were speaking Yoruba,
Mm.
and like the Yoruba parts, I was like, I could do a better job than this, because half the book I didn't realize they were speaking in Yoruba because the person who was doing it didn't necessarily understand the language and so couldn't pronounce a lot of the words. And I just thought, oh, I could do this.
Mm.
And I thought, well, why don't you? And so I decided to start finding out more and more about narrating audiobooks. And then as I got into that, I found there was a whole big world of voiceovers, and I decided to just try my hand at it. Bought the kits. Started auditioning for stuff and got a few, and it was going well. I was like, oh, this is nice. Like the first bits of earning weren't particularly great, but then it started increasing and started going better and better. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll do more of this. And then I came to a bit of a crossroads, would I say life wise, where I thought, okay, career wise, I wanted to make a shift,
Mm.
and um, having doing voiceovers on the side made it more comfortable to do that, because then I could then say, okay, look, if like I have savings, but worst comes to worst, I can still live off my income from voiceovers. That was my thinking. So that's when I now switched to doing it full time, sort of thing. But yeah, I say to many people, it's literally God's blessing to me, because it came from left field. I never planned on being a voiceover artist ever. It's an opportunity that came, something I found I could do, I enjoyed, continued, and I'm like, you know what, I don't mind this. I don't mind this. And here we are.
Mm. Yeah, because this is the thing. There are a number of people out there who like go, yes, I want to do this career change. I want to make that move. And like, yes, like how can I put it? The reckless like go, okay, I'm changing now with no sort of set plan. How long did it take you to sort of like formulate this plan to like go, okay, I'm here now. I'm doing what I'm doing, but I want to definitely make this choice, like this change.
Okay, so I should probably explain a bit more about the change. The change wasn't necessarily only about voiceovers.
Yes.
So I'm very passionate about the African continent, making a difference on the continent there. I run another startup with my co-founder. It's
Mhm.
called Pathfound, and basically it's a career prep organization where we help high schoolers, African high schoolers, learn more about careers. So
Mm.
teach them about different careers and that sort of thing. At the time when I wanted to leave my previous job, I knew I wanted to start working towards the things I want to do long term, legacy wise, that sort of thing. And so that was one of the reasons why um, I wanted to leave that job. Now, voiceovers is something I do anyway. I enjoy. I want to progress with that, but I'm even more mission driven in that I want to continue to do stuff for and on the African continent to help move things forward.
Yes.
So voiceovers was it's almost like it's a means to an end. it's an end in itself, but it's also a means to an end. Is that it gives me the reason I could consider voiceovers is because it gives me that kind of flexibility where I can work on my own time and usually at my own pace, unless maybe a client wants a like a live session where they're there with me recording, maybe online.
Mm,
But most times I just do it remotely and send it to them when I'm done with the file. So for me, it was a good, when I say stepping stone towards the other stuff. I before I even started the startup, I hadn't even thought necessarily about what I wanted to, like what business exactly it was going to be that I was going to go to. I just knew I needed to change track and start moving in the direction of the things I wanted to do.
mhm.
And so voiceovers was a good, like I said, good stepping stone to get there. Like I said, I still love voiceovers. I want to go far in it, but even more than that, it's something I can basically balance with other things. So I'm doing that as well as this other career business. And so far, so good. So that was sort of my thinking, as opposed to thinking, oh, let me leave that job and go into voiceovers. It was more, okay, I can do voiceovers and earn money that way whilst I'm building the startup.
I see. So basically, long-term strategy, like this is like your bridge to get you to your long-term strategy of the Pathfinder, to basically help African kids, like well, find their path. Uh, uh, so like this is the thing. I imagine it reward. Well, I can only imagine the voiceover gigs are quite lucrative at this present time.
Yeah, they're all right. They're all right. I think it's an interesting field. So it's just like it's like many freelance fields, right? You have to work on your marketing. So you have to get people to find out about what you do. You need to be on the sites where people are searching for people who need your skills. And that can be tricky sometimes. So there are some months where maybe one job comes through and that job pays a lot. And then there are other months where fewer jobs or maybe lower paying jobs, sort of thing. So it kind of varies up and down. Uh,
Mm,
the important thing, like what I'm really focusing on right now in the business, is learning the marketing side of things, so advertising, sales, sort of thing, so that I can build a pipeline. So I'm not just auditioning all the time, but I can actually get clients find out about me and reach out to me and say, okay, actually, no, we need you for this. So it's a process. I'm still learning it.
mm,
It's a process, but yeah. So when it does pay, it can pay well. It can pay pretty well. Just that sometimes it's unpredictable when the jobs come in.
mm. So like this is the thing, like okay, yes, it's unpredictable when the jobs come in, but with regards to I get this vibe that you're kind of a very sort of mission driven person. Like you go, right, this is I have this mission, this is the parameters, and this can help me do X, Y, and Z. Like, so how do you know like how does a mission sort of formulate in your mind? I'm curious. Can you tell me
Okay.
about
Okay, yeah, we can go. Now this is gonna take us way back.
that?
So sit down, relax. Back where I'm from, they'll say story, story. You respond story. Once upon a time, time. So,
Yeah.
but so if I go a few years back, my grandfather.
Yes.
So I was born in Nigeria. Grew up there for my when I say childhood years, preteens, and my grandfather used to give scholarships to people from his hometown. Um, and I used to go for the scholarship days, and I thought, that's really, really cool. I'd like to do that, but on an even bigger scale. Like I want to be able to do this across Africa, not just his hometown, not just the city,
Mhm.
but actually like across Africa, sort of thing. So that's the sort of thing that was at the back of my mind, seeing the impact of what he was doing. Then I think over the years, I just kept thinking there's so much potential on the African continent. I've got students that I sponsor and mentor on the continent at the moment,
Mhm.
just on let's say one-to-one basis. Like I'm not doing it via charity. These are people I've met, just different circumstances, and I've taken them on to mentor and sponsor their fees. So in doing that, I one of the itches I had in doing that was helping these guys navigate from backgrounds where, okay, first to go to university in their family, sort of thing, and helping them navigate that, but also helping them get to a point where they're able to get onto good careers, right? So there weren't many services available for that, in a sense. So literally this was scratching my itch. My business partner had actually started this business beforehand,
Mhm.
but I when I saw he was doing it, I literally sent him a message. I was like, that thing you're doing, I'm gonna get involved in that at some point. He was just like, okay. And then a year later he called me and was like, oh, actually, and this was maybe probably about 6 months after I'd left my job, that,
Mhm.
oh, he's actually taken a pivot on the business. This is something that he thinks I can actually come on board and help with it. Would I want to come on board as a co-founder? And it was an easy yes, because It was already the thing I was thinking. It was something I was thinking about doing anyway. But yeah, so for me, it's just been thinking, okay, I can make an impact. I feel like I'm a very blessed person in terms of just how life has turned out, right? And I feel like I want to be able to give other people opportunities that I had. I think that would give me the most joy. People are driven by different things, right? I won't say as well that I am money motivated in the sense that I also want to earn money. I'm not doing this. This isn't a charity. But at the same time, I also want to make an impact. So build wealth, but also make an impact. Um, so yeah, that's sort of how it sort of formulated. So like I said, from my grandfather to the people I'm helping and thinking, okay, you know what, this is an area I can make an impact. But this is just one area. My
Yes.
mission is do things, not just one thing, to help move things forward on the African continent. And the first part I'm focusing on is career education, but there'll be other things probably in future. For now, this is the one I'm starting with because it's the one that was most accessible, and it's the one that solves a present need for me right now. So,
I
right.
see. When you say career, like focus, are you just doing this sort of broad strokes, or you're focusing in on sort of key areas, say like STEM subjects or something like that?
A bit broad to start with.
Oh,
Basically, many children will go through primary school and secondary school without ever seeing a guidance counselor, without anybody ever showing them or telling them of the opportunities available to them. Even if you're interested in STEM,
mm.
no, I don't know. You hear this in many African and Asian communities. You're either a doctor, lawyer, accountant, engineer, or failure. Like there are many, there are many other careers beyond that, right?
Got to make that auntie proud. Mm.
you know but at the same time, many people who maybe may funnel their kids down those routes is also a lack of knowledge of what's available, but
Mm.
we're able to provide that knowledge both for the kids as well as their parents. So our platform will be for both parents and young people as well. You give people more knowledge, you give them the tools to make the better decisions. Like, I'm not saying you will necessarily know exactly what you want to do for the rest of your life by the time you leave school, but you'll be better armed to try things, to know what is aligned with your interests and your passions before you choose subjects. So in Nigeria, for example, I think from about age 13 or 14, you're
Yeah.
picking subjects. So you're going either into the science classes, commercial, or arts. And many kids just make a decision based on my friends are in this set, so I'm just going to go there. Whereas, or it might be made for them and say, okay, yeah, you're good at math, so you're going into sciences, even if the person is more musically inclined, for example.
Mm.
If people were armed with more information about careers and what options are available, it would help them make better decisions. So, for example, on Saturday we had our first career event where we just invited a few people to come on board and hear from people who are working in the UI UX industry, just to show them, okay, this is another area that you could apply your design skills to, for example. And UI UX is one of those fields that takes in you can bring in influences from different fields, right? And you don't necessarily have to even have studied computer science to do it, but
Mm.
it's a field that people may not necessarily know. So it's one of those things where you want to make sure that people have the right knowledge available to them, know what's available, and then they can make informed decisions.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things which I always find is tricky. Look, even over here in the UK, because like this is the thing, you got people like, oh yes, I do this, I do that, and like there are kids which, if they don't have that sort of personal contact with someone who is like doing something in tech, or if they are doing something in engineering and whatnot, they
Mm,
have no clue. Even in this world where information is freely available, they
mm.
have no clue what the sort of first steps are. And I think it's one of those things where I think it sometimes is kind of kept. I don't understand why it is, but it seems like it's that sort of information, that first steps are sort of kept away for some people, just so it's like this sort of exclusive group, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I think it's also, it's, how do they call it? Omission.
Okay.
So sometimes it may not necessarily be malicious, but it may be a thing where people have just not thought about it through. Like, it's almost like deal with the exact problem. You go to school, you think, okay, go to school, learn good things, go to university potentially, and then from there find a good job, right? But you're not actually dealing with the exact problem. You don't just go to school to learn everything and then get a good job. You need to know the right things you need to know in order to get you to a job that works for you.
Mm.
I think it's a thing where it's probably not thought through enough. and so maybe not provided for enough, as opposed to it being malicious, somebody trying to keep it away from people. But then this is why services like ours exist, right? To plug that gap and to help people make better decisions. But the platform is going to do even way more than this. So we're starting off with, okay, teaching them about careers, then it's helping them identify their interests, then you're moving on to understanding your passions, understanding your work styles as well, understanding your personality, how you work, whether with a team or on your own, sort of thing. So these are things we're building towards. But also the parent and educator side is very important, because with that you can then reach people who would then have direct influences on the children and help them make better decisions long term. I mean, as an interesting stat, like the majority, I can't remember the exact number, but a lot of the world's population, young population, is going to be in Africa in the next 20, 50 years.
Yes.
So that's saying the majority of the world's workforce will be in Africa. You want to make sure that at least African governments should be looking at, okay, what are the skills that we can train our people to do such that they're higher value skills, right? So skills where they can earn money, and that will filter down in terms of taxes, in terms of goods and services being produced, that sort of thing. But like a bit like what India is doing, where the tech sector is advancing, and so advanced now that you're having people from there building things for India and even for the world, and actually growing in that. So my thinking is, okay, for Africa, we're going to be in that position soon. We need to start preparing our people for those roles. It may not necessarily be only tech; it can be other fields, but start preparing our population for roles that would put us on a better level in terms of international trade, that sort of thing.
No, you do bring up some important points, like because, like, yes, like one of the things a lot of people don't talk about is the population crash, which is coming, like a freight train, especially in Western European developed countries. Like basically, Africa, India are going to be, like, yes, a lot of the workplace winners when it comes to this. Though I would say the one thing India's got a heavy advantage over Africa is the, the connections to Silicon Valley run deep, and you can't, like, there's no denying that. I don't know if there is the will, or like, yeah, or the sort of vision for, like, yes, a number of African countries to, like, go, yeah, we are going to be Tech Africa, and this is going to be one of the key, like, tech hubs, because yes, manufacturing, all of that is, it will come to Africa, and it's a case of, I can see places like Nigeria, Ghana on the west coast, like Kenya on the east coast, and yeah, South Africa, to really sort of make a real impact in the next, like, 50, 60 years and beyond.
Yeah, I mean there are also pockets of things happening, right? So you may not have it across the whole country, but you may have pockets. So you may have things happening in Nairobi, things happening in Kigali, things happening in Lagos, Abuja, that sort of thing. So things are growing. The thing is, you can't just say, okay, the government isn't doing anything. Like we are all like the Nigerian population is everybody makes the population, not just the government, not just the private actors. So everybody has a part to play, and everybody can choose to play a part if you want to. I'm choosing to take the path of be the change you want to see.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in that situation, okay, this thing is missing. Okay, what can I do to make it happen? Who can I bring together to make this happen? If I can't do it myself, are there people I can rely on to or encourage to do that sort of thing? Or is it a thing where I help people get the skills such that I become the opportunity creator? I give them the skills such that they then go ahead and then they create the opportunities in their society or in their communities.
Mm.
For me, it's just okay. Rather than complain, make steps to make a difference.
Yeah, like this is the thing. Like, yes, you say rather than complain, but let's just say there are a number of people where option one, yeah, let me bitch and complain about it, is the first and foremost, like, moniker in their mind. And like, look, don't get me wrong. I go, okay, yeah, you can bitch and complain about it. I agree, you can do that, or you can try to, as Ghana said, be the change you want to see in this world. I think it's a case of there is sometimes a lot of bravado and a lot of talk by people. Like,
Mm.
I will do this. But when it comes down to it, like the sort of hard work, network building, and everything like that, they're not down with it. you know?
Yeah, it's a thing. But then again, you don't need everybody to be the change maker.
Oh
You just
no.
you just need a few people who are willing to do it.
Mm,
I mean, there are many examples in the world, and unfortunately, the examples are skipping my head right now. But like, there are particular people who've made a difference, either on their, not necessarily on their own. Usually, they have people following them, but they usually have to be the point person, and then
mhm.
people follow. But it's not necessarily the whole. Like a lot of changes don't start off with the whole country deciding to move and make that change. It's usually a select few who decide, okay, no, we're gonna make a change, and sometimes that's all you need. You don't need everybody to but you don't need everybody to be the pioneers. You need some people to pioneer and some people to follow after, and that's okay. Um, the importance is if you are meant to be the pioneer, be the pioneer. Don't just stay and be passive.
The pioneer. Whew. Like that's some hard road right there. So like this is the thing. Apart from like hitching your wagon and going across like yes, these sort of treacherous and unknown lands. Like yeah, like what would you like to do? Can you tell me what you'd like to do? Say the next 6 months to a year to get things really going.
So yeah, I can tell you. So a few things on the business. I'm really talking about business, and if you want to talk about other things, do let me know.
Yeah,
But
like, hey, we're here right now. We're talking. This is a good thing. Yeah, come on now.
so on the business side, we're looking to launch the platform where people can sign up, use it, give us feedback. We're actually signing people up to the wait list now. So if you just go to pathfound.io,
Hmm.
sign up there to the wait list. The idea is so on the platform, we currently have courses and we'll have access to careers as well. So just descriptions of different careers that are available for people to see, and then a place for them to write down and explore their interests, that sort of thing. So getting people to use the platform, give us feedback, and let us know how they find it. For the waitlist, it's free access right now, so probably best to get in while they can. But then yeah, so grow that, and then so we're starting off okay, direct to consumer sort of thing, so to households, but we're looking to expand to schools as well. So have a B2B offering sort of thing. And the idea is okay, start it off, do well in maybe one country, and then or any other country who signs up, they're welcome. But what I mean is we'll focus efforts in one country first, then expand to other countries. The idea is that within the next year or so, we're present in a few like would I say maybe it's a quarter of a countries in is this too ambitious? We'll see. But maybe like quite a few of the English speaking African countries to start with before we start translating into other places. But the idea is just to get more people on the platform and then being able to test over time the difference between a Pathfound student and a non-Pathfound student, and showing that okay, just giving kids or children or students the tools to make their own decision and to have autonomy would actually make a difference long term for them and by extension their communities and their families. So yeah, we're looking to expand quite aggressively soon. But yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Okay, like this is the thing. It sounds like yes, it's not a small undertaking, especially when like okay, if you're talking about like, Nigeria, most populous country in like Africa, yeah, 100 million people plus, and like yeah, you can like take it all the way through there. Like yeah, how like what are you going to do in the realms of raising funds to get this started? Because look,
Yeah,
creating a platform, doing all of this, it's gonna take work. It's gonna take money, lots of it.
yeah. So I mean, we've been bootstrapping for now, but the idea is we will be raising funds soon. So doing a seed round soon, but we want to get things out in the market, people using it first before we then put it out for getting funding, because then you can see the value, you know what you're investing in a sense. So that's where we are on that, but that's in the works. That's in the works.
Okay. Like this is the thing. Like the strange thing about it, like yes, what you're talking about, yes, helping young people find their path, and like yes, going to Africa and making that happen. It to me, it's like okay, you know, you can go as far as short as Africa, but that is a service which is very much needed over here with regards to a number of young people which are how can I say, not so much lost, but they are kind of directionless at this present time, and they don't have access to like they don't have the whole nepotism network going on, you know. Providing that sort of like, yeah, getting people in the room with them who can provide that pathway. Like, have you thought about, hey, there are some
Yes,
underplayed places in the UK as well?
yes, definitely. So the thing is, you have to pick a market to start with. We
Mm-hmm.
chose Africa because it's where we feel like the impact can be felt quite deeply.
Mm-hmm.
It's because there's so much of a gap already that even just a little bit of change in there can make a huge difference. And again, mission for me, as I told you, is okay, how can I make Africa better in some way or another whilst I'm alive?
Mm.
So that's why my focus is there.
Okay.
However, we very much recognize that it is a global problem, right?
Mm.
It's not just Nigeria. It's not just Ghana. It's not just Africa. It's everywhere. People need to need help in figuring out what to do. And many times people don't have that support. So it's
Mm.
something we would consider and look into. And at the end of the day, you build a product.
Yeah.
People come and use it. But then if we find, okay, the people who we've built this product, but we find that, okay, people who are using it are maybe a different demographic, then we'll consider that too and say, okay, actually what's going on here? Maybe our product also has value in one place, that product market fit type thing. For now, this is where we're targeting, but it's something we're open in the long run to go abroad, to go further.
Mm. Mm. Wow. Like, yes, rather impressive. Quite a challenge to say the least. Like, yeah, with regard to sort of reaching out to people, like, yes, those sort of key like influencers, thought leaders, like, yeah, those people which would be like, yes, this is what you need to do. Like, is it a case of you go to people one by one, or is it a case of, yeah, you like go, this is what I'm doing. If you want to help, come to me now.
So I can't say we've necessarily done much of that yet
Mm-hmm.
in terms of looking for funding, that sort of thing. But it's something where I'm speaking to people about it, so people know what I'm doing. When the time is ripe, I'll be like, "Oh, guys, remember what I mentioned about? We're raising finances, we're raising funds now. If you're interested in investing, let us know." So it's kind of putting the word out there, letting people know about it first, and then we'll get into that. We can also look at some accelerator programs as well. Um, for example, like the most popular one, Y Combinator. We can apply to stuff like that. We'll see. For now, we're focusing on getting something out into the market so that people can test it, give us their feedback, and we can really serve our audience. That's
Mm-hmm.
the important thing for us. Once we get that going, then other things we believe will come. It's almost a no brainer type of service where like you can see the value. There are people, the parents who I've spoken to about it, and they're just like, oh my gosh, when can I sign up? When I
Yeah.
speak about it. So it's a thing of, okay, we know what we're trying to do. Let's actually execute on it. Let's build on it. And then once we have that, the other bits will flow.
I hear you. I hear you. Wow, fantastic. I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. Like, with regards to yourself, this mission, you're like this one of many mission. I think you've got a number of irons in the fire. I just get this vibe about you. Like, where would you kind of like yourself to be in sort of 5 years' time? Can you explain that by any chance?
Yeah, I can. Okay, so there are a few things.
Mm-hmm.
There's this business I'm working on.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it would take for it to take off, right? I'm thinking I'll be with this business for a while,
Mm.
in the sense that actually for as long as I'm needed, but I'm working on not being needed. I'll explain what I mean by that. So it means that as we're growing the business, I'm hoping to empower my team. That way they can take decisions and do things that I would maybe have done, but then they're empowered to be able to do so.
Mm.
So the more they can almost make me redundant in like the day-to-day stuff, the more I can take a step back and think, okay, big picture, where do we want to go with this, strategy wise and all. So in the next 5 years, we'll see how things are going. If I'm still with this business, then it'll be looking at, okay, how are we expanding? Where are we moving to? What should be our focus? If I've gotten to a point where the team can run it almost without me, then the next thing will be, okay, what will be the next thing I want to target? I'm still going to figure that out. But yeah, we'll see. This business is where I'm focusing right now. On the voiceover side as well, that should be interesting. I'm looking to keep growing that. It's something I do. It's something I enjoy anyway. Keep growing that. See what comes up out of that. I'd like to, maybe start in an animation. That'd be quite cool. That'd be quite cool. Like being one of the animation characters, I think would be quite good, like a feature animation. So that would be good as well. Do a few more audiobooks on that. That'd be great. And then on a personal side, okay, when you just as you grow older anyway, you think about okay, your financial well-being sort of things. Also putting things aside in terms of investments, that sort of thing. Is like it proceeds from business and just income will be going towards that as well. So building some investment there is something I think is very important, and it's something we will cover on the courses that we offer at Pathfound because your financial well-being is very important. It's not just about how much money you make, but how much you keep and how you invest that money so that you make more money in the long run. You know, the beautiful thing about compound interest and compound income. So yeah, thinking about that. What else? The next 5 years? I think a lot is going to change in the next 5 years. A lot could change, and a lot that I don't even think I'm aware of. Another thing to mention is I'm doing a PhD at the moment, part time.
Oh,
So I should be done by then, but yeah, I'd love to be done by then. I'm 2 years in. I've got at least another 2 years to go, but yeah, I'd love to be done by then. Yeah, let's not drag that one. Um, but yeah, so that'd be it basically. And then I love to travel, so travel quite a bit as well.
my God, you're a lazy son of a bitch. I'll give you that. It's like I'm free. It's like, okay, yeah, right. Yeah, you've got one or two things going on. Now,
Yeah.
with regards to the whole voiceover thing,
Mm,
now I have to ask, like, okay, yeah, like elephant in the room.
mm.
Mm. Now, now, yes, you have a rather unique voice, which yes, you can go to American to yes, raise up your fist for Pan African Day, yes, African accent and all of that. But yeah, Chat GPT has it kind of like gone like, whoo, okay. What do you like it? Oh, you're like, oh crap.
It's a very interesting thing. I think it's one of those things that is a seismic shift, is causing a seismic shift in things. We're talking things that will probably take you 3 years to do. You're shortening timelines to a year and 6 months, depending on how well you use it. It's an area I'm actually really exploring at the moment, just on a like outside of work and stuff, just to understand how I can leverage it, whether it's in my business, whether it's in other businesses. There are threats to there are threats to some jobs, but I think the way to also see it is a way of making jobs and making some things more efficient. But there will be casualties. That's that much I think I'm aware of, and yeah, it's gonna happen. Now, there are a few things. If I look at voiceovers in particular, that's a very interesting one. Not necessarily ChatGPT in particular, but how do I put it? Other tools that are will replicate, for example, voiceover artists, where like the technology is getting pretty good, such that after a while you can't even tell if it's a human voice or a computer voice, and you can also clone your own voice as well with some tools out there. Um, that's interesting, but also rather scary. Um, I'm still figuring that out. I can't say I necessarily have an answer to that or I know how that's going to be. I do know though, it then means for me, I need to think, changes come with business. So you have to anticipate them rather than try and fight it all the time. Think, okay, how can I get on board this change? So AI is coming to voiceover, and it's not just coming; it's already here. The question is, okay, how do I leverage it to make things to make my workflow more efficient, to serve my customers better? What do I need to do differently to make sure that I'm able to compete, sort of thing? So it's figuring that out. I can't say I necessarily have an answer, but it's figuring that out. I am actually looking into things like prompt engineering, for example. So that's being able to like just the idea of knowing how to craft prompts such that you can get the best out of tools like ChatGPT or even the latest one, Google, or latest competitor, I'd say Google Bard, for example. That's Google's answer to ChatGPT. It's still quite behind ChatGPT at the moment, but it's another one to explore anyway. But knowing how to the more specific and the better crafted your instructions to it, the better you get responses out. So for example, you could say something like, oh, write me a blog post in the voice tone of Russell Brand, make it funny, but also include some dark humor and reference da 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 da, and it'll make something for you. Whereas if you just say, okay, write me an article, it will give you something, and it'll still be good, but then you can actually tweak it and make it even more unique that way. There's still some issues about, okay, who then owns the intellectual property? How do people go about it? Can you detect when it's AI versus a human writing? Does it matter? And then there's even things like, okay, when you get to university, for example, if AI wrote your essay, is it your essay? Is it AI's? Is that plagiarism? If it's not really plagiarism, but what is it? Is that practice of some sort? Yeah. So there's a lot in there, but there's a lot to be explored. I think rather than be afraid of it, I would say, okay, like ride the train, figure out what's going on here, and also anticipate some of the pitfalls and some of the issues that will come from it,
Mm,
um, and see, okay, what can be done. But there's going to be another acceleration of things. So things like I said that would take maybe 5, 10 years will now start taking 3 years, 1 year, 6 months, a month. I mean, people are using it to try and write books, for example. I think it's not perfect yet for writing books, but if you're good at prompting, you can actually get some decent things out. And then your skill will then be on, okay, how to market whatever, let's say, the book you've written, in order to get people to get it from you. But yeah, ChatGPT is it's exciting. It's
yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, because like this is the thing I would say with regards to the realm of AI and like the sort of seismic shift which is happening, like because there are like there's a news reporter on the internet, Philip DeFranco, and he's talked about okay how like yes got a phone call from like this lady like family got a phone call from their son basically saying he's in prison and everything like this
Yeah.
and county jail and he needs X amount of money to get out. They were all going down, giving the money out because it was like, yeah, because they reckon like,
Recognize the voice.
yeah, exact same clone. And I think it's one of those things I think they didn't get burned by it, but they got so very close because I think a bank manager was like, oh, we've had this happen more than once. And I
Mhm.
think with that sort of seismic shift, I think it's a case of that adjustment period because like Chat GPT, I'd say if this was a year ago, like not unless if you were kind of in the know, you
Mhm.
knew what Chat GPT was.
Mhm.
And beginning of this year, like, not even the beginning of this year. Oh, come on, it was February. It went from nothing to everyone knowing about it. It's like going, you know, so where has this come from? And it was
Right.
like 3.5 to now 4, which is meant to be quite phenomenal with regards to, say, doing the bar exam and everything like this. Uh, and I think this is the other thing where I think people kind of assumed that AI would be like, yes, yes, low skilled jobs, that's where it'll go. But you know what? Me being a lawyer, me being a creative, everything like this, I'll be fine. And it's just like coming hard, complete blindsided that many, you know?
And it's going to bring back more and more debates about the universal basic income, right? Because if people are available to work but can't work and can't find jobs, do you give people an income so that they can continue living and doing life? How much does that take? Would that work? What are the complications with that? Um, it's something that's going to keep coming back, coming back. I know there's been a place where they piloted that. I can't remember where it was. Um, and it seems to be have been okay, successful at the moment. We'll see. But it's one of those things that you wonder, but then it also makes you think, okay, how do I make sure that I am on the side of the people who are winning in this thing?
Mm,
Part of it is, okay, going beyond the basic. So when it comes to using ChatGPT for things, it's not just help me write this essay. It's more, you almost look at a chain of events or a chain of things that you can club together to make a product, right? Let's say, for example, course creation. You can use AI tools to create everything, but then you need somebody to come up with the curriculum, so the full
yep.
curriculum from A to Z. Then you've got the different stages within there, like writing each lesson. Then
Mhm.
you've got somebody to do the video editing normally. Then you've got the voiceover if it's not the same person who's doing the video that's speaking, and then somebody to quality check things. All of these can be replaced with AI. No, right? Pretty much. You need somebody to know what to prompt. So that's where the prompt engineer or the person who understands that can go in. But
Mhm.
then it's clubbing all of those together and somebody who has some domain knowledge. So, for example, rather than hiring many people who are subject matter experts, you might only need one because that person can then, you just train the person on how to prompt and how to get these things done. So I think that's where, when I say the money is, right, would be, at least to start with. And then leveraging it with things that are like maybe services that already exist. So plug and play sort of thing. ChatGPT is going to be releasing a plugin, some plugin thing soon, where you can actually interface with external apps, that sort of thing. Just like the App Store for the iPhone changed everything, it's going to be a bit like that for ChatGPT.
Mm.
So again, it's now thinking, okay, what can I do that can provide value for people? And in providing value, they pay you for it, and you earn it, and then you own the system, not just, so you're not just the person using it for one-off tasks. You actually own a system that's generating income and revenue, that sort of thing. And then after that, I think once you make money from that business, whatever it is, start to think, okay, how else can I diversify my income, again, to the financial planning. So many people would earn money from different ways and then invest it in property, because people always need to have a place to live, right? So invested in property, invested maybe in stocks and shares, things assets that would then yield more income over time. But yeah, so it's an interesting one. Yeah, I think anybody who I'm mentoring, I would tell them, okay, look into this thing. Find a way that interests you. So find an interest of yours and see how you can figure out how to leverage it and get better at it. Because you don't want to be caught unawares, in a sense. But yeah, it's exciting, scary, but exciting nonetheless.
Yeah, no, because like this is the thing. Like, okay, yes, yeah, like with regards to the realm of going back to what you said about, yes, doing a like piece of coursework, is it plagiarism, or is it like, no, if it's being created by like some parameters and it's just basically getting that information from a number of different sources, yeah, like let's be honest, in the realm of university, that's just research and like building a paper together, like putting a paper together. It might not necessarily be all your style, and you've got this program doing it for you. So it is a unique piece of work. It's just a case of how it came about is not what you used to do. Like if you think about it, frig, if this was the 70s, people were like basically up in arms about calculators, because it was like, yeah, you can't have a calculator. My thing is, I think with regards to, not now, maybe in sort of 10, 20 years time, like the impact it's going to have on the job market. Yes, a form of universal basic income will have to be done. Like one of my favorite TV shows, it's called The Expanse. And like, yeah, like it kind of deals with like, yeah, the world, like imagine Earth 200 years from now, we're in the solar system, we're like, yeah, mining like asteroids and everything like this. But on Earth, jobs are like jobs are so finite. It's like, right, you've got, okay, you can work, but like you have to enter a lottery to sort of like get a career. And if you sort of like skip, you're like, okay. But they provide a sort of universal income for people to like, yeah, live their lives. It's not much, but it's just like, what else are you going to do? And I
Mhm.
think with regards to many a government, because I think a new economic structure will have to come into being, because it's not like it's a whole consumer base, but if there is like no one can have a job to be a consumer, what, how is this going to work, you know?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, there are dystopian versions of the future. There are utopian versions of the future. We'll see how things progress. Yeah, I don't know, but I'm in a sense, my thinking is watch the space and don't be caught unawares. Don't be caught on the back foot. Still try and figure out, okay, how can I leverage this? Um, and at some point you can then also, as you're doing that, think, okay, what are the ethics here? What should I be doing and what shouldn't I be doing? But yeah, it's exciting times. Exciting times. We'll see.
You like it's exciting times. You seem like you've got a plan already, percolating away.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, she rubs her hands. That's like, yes, yes, yes. Excellent. So with regards to like, yeah, like with regards to the sort of the future of voiceovers and basically what you're doing. Like if voiceovers and everything like that did go the way of the dinosaur, like okay, you strike, as I said before, you strike me as a person like who's got a plan or two. What would you do instead?
I mean, I'm already doing stuff other than voiceover at the moment.
It was yes.
So I'm already hedging my bets. Oops, excuse
Disappeared.
me. My camera's gone off. Give me 1 second.
Okay. Technical difficulties. And oh,
Hold on.
there you go.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I'm not
All
sure
right.
what. Okay, can you still hear me all right?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Great, 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 great. Okay. Okay. So your question was, what would I do if voiceovers became the thing, became a relic of the dinosaur age? Um, I'm already doing stuff as I mentioned with the Pathfound business, but even with that, the thing is, okay, what makes the question is what makes you unique, and what can you leverage? So voiceover is a tool. At the moment, it plugs into different things. You can use voiceovers in adverts. You can use it in e-learning, in audiobooks. It would then be looking to create products based off that ability or that service. So, for example, maybe writing books where you can tell stories. And the question is, I could be the voice for that, but I could also get other people to be the voices, or I could end up using AI, or maybe even using a clone of my voice to then voice the book, right? The value there is, so what I'll be providing to the market that will be of value is not just my voice; it's also the product being the book. It might be other things. It might be a case where start working with people to figure out, okay, licensing things where you can use my voice for different things, and like different areas, sort of thing, and then I get paid a licensing fee just for the fact that they're using my voice, regardless of if I'm there with the client or recording it and sending it off to the client. As long as they're using my voice, they pay. I think Samuel L. Jackson, is it him? Yeah, or Morgan Freeman. I think Morgan Freeman. His voice is used in many different things, and I hear he gets paid like royalties for that. So there's that. Um, there's still a lot to be figured out. I'd be lying if I say I figured everything out. But what I do know is productizing is a way to go, where you think of yourself not just as a voiceover artist, but in a sense, what is the end product that you're providing? And maybe you then do some vertical integration. So rather than just provide voiceovers, maybe you help people with creating ads. Maybe you help people with, um, creating audiobooks, creating courses, different things, right? So you're not just offering, so you still get to do that bit, but it's now what you're offering is now a bit wider than that. But then beyond that, like I said, you also think wider. Whatever income you're earning, good or high or low, start thinking, how can I diversify my wealth portfolio? In a sense, to start thinking, okay, if I'm earning, let's say I'm earning good money from voiceovers now, I shouldn't keep my money in. I shouldn't just be spending my money. I should be looking at investing that, right? So invest in things like stocks and shares, maybe other businesses that are maybe businesses of the future or businesses that are unlikely to be as affected by AI, um, and maybe property as well. And then from there, you kind of diversify such that you have investments that are making you income even in your sleep, passive income. So these are things that are all in the back of my mind. Still exploring, still thinking, um, and then we'll see how things go. But the important thing is planning ahead and thinking, not just thinking, oh, hide it under I don't know what you call it, and then just hope that things will go away. They're not going to go away. So it's figuring out, okay, what can I do to position myself such that I'm not caught on the back foot.
No, I hear you. I hear you. But look, this is the thing. What like not confuses me, but like I can see, like I look at you, we having this conversation, but like I can like the sum of your parts are like how can I put it, are quite grand. And like, yeah, you've got like there is like many multiple plans going on. Have you thought about sort of okay, I know you've got a YouTube channel where you do one or two things here and like you go like well like a kind of vlog of like what you do with the voiceover and like yes. Have you thought about yes, doing that, doing productivity, doing like a number of different things, like you know what I mean? Like sort of really sort of giving a full a vision of who you are out there. Because I think a lot of people could learn from you.
I think I'm figuring that out as well. There's a lot I'm figuring out right now, but I'm figuring that out. I'm looking to put up courses. I've got a course on Skillshare, which is talking about how to build content creation teams, for example.
Yeah.
And I think I need to do more and more course creation where I can just take everything I've learned, whether from books or from just life experiences, package it up in places where people can then access them. Also for a fee, so that we can earn some money. But then, I mean, not everything for a fee. Some things I'll just do for free because I think it's good to share the knowledge. And there'll be
Mm.
other things that maybe for a select few, it'd be paid so that you can keep the lights on. Um, but yeah, that's definitely something I'm thinking of. But look at all the things I've mentioned so far. Like part of it, I need somebody to just help me come manage my life right now. Like just help me, just tell me like, okay, what should I be focusing on, such that I'm spending my time on the things that matter. I'm still figuring that out, but yeah, I do feel like I've been very blessed in that I've had access to a lot of things, so I've been able to learn a lot over the years. And the question is, okay, how can I best utilize what I've learned? I can teach people. I can also I can either teach or teach people, or I can either teach or do. Some of the things I'm doing, some teaching I need to do. I just need to sit down long enough to actually create these courses and put stuff out. Write books as well. I'm looking at doing a book. I started working on it. A book just teaching people how to get into voiceovers, and then off the back of that, probably look at creating a course based off the book as well. So that's under works, but it's a slow burner type thing. So just do it little by little and hopefully get there at some
Mhm.
point.
Yeah,
But yeah.
because I've known people who've done a book in 2 weeks, and I've known people which have done a book in 5, 6 years. Yeah, it's like yeah. How long do you think this book would take you? You reckon?
I don't know. I started off very optimistic. And it's just like, yeah, first draft will get that done in 30 days. It didn't quite happen that way. I got far though. I think I'm on about 20,000 words thereabouts. But then I got to a point where I just kind of got a bit stuck, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'll leave it, focus on other things, and then come back to it.
Mm.
But then it did show me that if I could do that within about 30 days, and actually even less than that, because I think after about like day 20, I kind of just got distracted by a few other things. But I gotten that far in so many days, right? And the average nonfiction book is probably about between 30 and 50,000 words. So I'm not far off.
Mhm.
Um, so it kind of showed me that, okay, I have the capacity to do it. I just need to plug in some gaps in some areas where I was a bit stuck in it. And then, yeah, but then also, I'm also learning in this period of my life as well to not do everything myself. um, Even if I'm capable, even if I have the skill,
Uh-huh.
it doesn't make sense for me to do everything. I'm one person, right? If I'm doing one thing, it means I'm not doing something else. Whereas if I start leveraging teams and start working with people who maybe are more expert in some areas, then I can grow further. I've seen that with Pathfound, the business I was talking about, and I've been thinking, okay, how can I incorporate more people coming on board? Obviously, there's the budgetary considerations where it's like, okay, can I afford to bring many people on board? But as much as possible, is try leveraging people. There's a good book about this actually. It's called Who Not How. I can't remember who the author of the book was. I'll remember it and I'll let you know. But basically, that book talks about leveraging other people and working with them in order to achieve a goal. And when you open up a goal to more than just yourself, you actually achieve more than you would have if it was just you.
Mhm.
So that's something I've been thinking of as well. And even with this book now, it's a thing of speaking to people, maybe editors, for example, or people who are just nice friends who would help me read it and tell me, okay, tweak this here and there, But yeah, that's something I think I need to do. To answer your question, I don't know when it's going to be done. Um, Hopefully within a year. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
It's one of those things, the misconception, like when the people go, yeah, we all get 24 hours in a day, so make the most of it. And like, this is the thing. I go, yes, we all get 24 hours of a day, but if you are, say, like a Oprah Winfrey, who's got a team of 100 people, now like she's utilizing all of their 24
Yeah,
hours.
yeah, exactly.
So it's like yeah. When she goes, you've got 24 hours in the day, and yes, you've got a mighty team behind you working on a hard, like a day-to-day basis. I have to ask, did you find it hard to sort of like, yeah? let go of the reins? Because you seem like a person who likes to be in control.
It's been a journey, a process. I'm getting there. Um, I think I also thrive on people doing well and like creating opportunities for people. So I think that also helps me in a sense that um, initially I might be quite hands on and say, okay, no, do it this way, do it that way. But then I consciously tell myself, okay, next one, let them try and do it and leave room for mistakes. Like assume mistakes are going to happen, be okay with it, and then build that way. I've got team members on the team at Pathfound now who I can just before it would be a case of let's do this together. Now it's sort of a thing where do it and let me know when you're done, and they get stuff done. But that's because we've had the time when we work together to build towards that. Like I enjoy mentoring and helping people get to where they want to get to. So for me, it has been a shift, and I think doing this business has made me see that also because there are just so many moving parts. I needed to have people on board to kind of move at the speed we wanted to move. But I think, yeah, sometimes it's a bit difficult when you feel like, okay, no, I can do this, but I keep telling myself, no, you can, but you're not going to. You're gonna let go, let other people come on board, because if you read that book, Who Not How, it's a really great book. I feel like the person who wrote it was Dan Sullivan, but I'm not sure. Really great book because it shows you that when you think of like who not how the idea is when you have a problem to solve, don't think of how to solve it, but who is best placed to help me solve it. But then the who is two-sided. You are a who to somebody else because you're providing them with an opportunity to grow, you're providing them with an income. They are a who to you because they are able to help your work expand beyond what could have been your dream. Once the vision comes out of you and is shared with other people, it expands, it grows beyond what you could have dreamt of. So I think for me, it's letting go of the reins can be a bit difficult sometimes, but it's a process that I think I've been learning over the past, would I say, year and a half, 2 years. And I think I'd like to say I've grown in that. I'd like to hear what my colleagues would say, but I think I think I've grown in that. I think I've grown in that. But it's one of those things where I think I'm also very blessed in that because I have all these, because I've built quite a few skills over time. There's something called skill stacking where you have different skills that you can leverage and grow. Just like, for example, you might learn how to use Excel versus becoming a financial, like the financial head of a company. Literally, the stages are okay. You learn Excel, you learn accounting, you learn this, and they keep stacking. So I've learned skills like that. And that then means that because I know quite a bit, I have enough to be the springboard for other people to go further. I often tell people that I imagine myself to be a bit of an archer. Like the archer may not go as far or as fast as the arrow, but the archer is necessary for the to guide the arrow, sort of thing. And I think I've learned a lot of things so that I can then be that archer or springboard, depending on which analogy you prefer, to help people get to where they want to get to. It hasn't been easy, like I said, but I'm getting there.
Mm. I being that sort of springboard or aka archer for other people to like take on that sort of next stage. It that sometimes I can imagine can only be quite difficult when you like go, yes, I've given you all these tools, I've given you this sort of direction,
Mm.
but you dummy, you're not actually going ahead with it. Come on, is that kind like like can you explain how you sort of like deal with that sort of side where it's like okay, it's
Um,
in that frustration.
I think it's planning for mistakes to happen.
Mm,
The issue is if you're thinking things are going to be perfect, that's you're setting yourself up for disappointment. It's not fair on you, it's not fair on your colleagues, right? So it's allowing for mistakes to happen. And even for myself, I'm having to do that. So I'm saying, for example, in testing out things like marketing, saying, okay, assume that 50% of your budget is going to be wasted. Maybe not quite 50%, that's quite a lot to waste. But let's say, maybe 30%, like assume it's going to be wasted and just call it personal development, right?
mm,
So in the sense that you're allowing for there to be mistakes. If you want your team to grow, you've got to give them the room to make those mistakes. You can provide guardrails as well. So which means okay, you plan in quality checks, for example, to make sure that there are you're always checking the work to make sure okay we send things out that work well for our audience and you're not getting somebody sending a completely different message. But
mm,
even if that happens, the world's not gonna end. It's gonna be okay. So um yeah, it's we live and learn. We'll make mistakes. I have made mistakes. I'm grateful for some of the bosses I've had in the past because I just think, wow, I look back and I think, whoa, they were very patient. um, you know, so yeah, just be that for other people. But anticipating mistakes, I think, is an easy way to go. Is an easier way to go for yourself, for your sanity, and for your team to feel safe. So there's something called psychological safety, which again, I can't remember which book it came up. I think Google did some research where they said, okay, what is it that makes teams do well and excel? And it's something called psychological safety, where people feel at ease with their colleagues, where they can express themselves and they're not afraid of making mistakes. They feel like, okay, their colleagues have their back, and they're all going to grow together, sort of thing. So that's important. So the more I can establish that sort of environment in the team I work with, the better it is for all of us, because then they're not afraid to make mistakes, and they're not afraid to come to me when they make mistakes. It's almost like it's an expectation that, okay, look, don't worry, you're gonna make mistakes. It's fine. If anything needs to be clarified, come talk to me. We'll figure it out. If I have to do it with you, I will. But we've got to figure it out. But yeah, it's an interesting journey, I have to say. Like prior to doing voiceovers and Pathfound, I was actually a data analyst, and then I was also working in cybersecurity at some point. So first data analyst, first for marketing in different companies, and then moved into cybersecurity. That was my last role before I left. And so it's very different. Um, how do I put it? Very different fields, sort of thing, but great all the same. I think in those situations, I wasn't so much I wasn't in many managerial roles. I had managerial opportunities where the people I was managing for a period of time, but this one is like full blown. Your job is now not to do the work, but to work through people and get the work done through them. It's an
Mm.
interesting challenge, but definitely one I'm happy for. I definitely think I'm growing from the process as well. So yeah, yeah.
Data analysts, oh, and security, because like, yeah, if there's going to be any sort of sectors which are going to be heavily guardrailed, yeah, data analysts and security are going to be that. And look, you've mentioned, yes, being able to make mistakes. Now, okay, data analysts might be a little bit more forgiving, but when you're talking about the security side,
Yeah, but again,
yeah,
again, bear in mind though, that was so in those roles, I was the person who could make those mistakes in a sense. Like
okay.
I wasn't the person managing people who make. So that would be my boss to worry about me making mistakes. Um,
You're just like,
no, but I'm talking about right now in the startup. In the startup, I mean, it's a startup. We're figuring things out. We're gonna try our best to do. We'll try our best to do our best, but we also realize that there will be mistakes made, and the world isn't going to come to an end. It's only if, for example, someone does something maybe fraudulent and stuff that, okay, you might think, okay, that's not really a mistake, that's a problem. But beyond that, yeah, most mistakes or most things aren't fatal. And like I said, planning for them means that, okay, you can temper the consequences of those happening if they should they happen.
Hmm, I see. I see. Like, would you describe yourself as an optimist, like through and through?
Um, Mostly, I think over the years, I've become. So if optimism and pessimism were on a spectrum, you've got optimism here,
Mhm.
pessimism here, right? On the extremes. I think maybe I started off maybe more here. I'm probably a bit more here now, not quite in the middle, but like more on the optimistic side, but maybe not as overly optimistic as things were before. I was joking with a friend the other day. I was like, so I've got a few mentees who, if you ask them, is the glass half full or half empty? They'll tell you, oh, it's overflowing, you know. And like, so there's some people I know who are literally on the extreme. Um, I'm not quite there, but I do have a very optimistic view on things. I think things can improve. I think things can get better. I think there's a lot that can be achieved if you just try. So yeah, no, I think I'm more on the optimistic side of things. I think realists probably be in the middle. I can be realistic but still optimistically realistic, if that makes sense. But yeah.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. Now, final question I have to
Yeah.
ask. Now, if there was one person you could meet, have a conversation with, pick their brains out, alive or dead, who would that be and
Ooh.
why?
Maybe Richard Branson.
Why him?
Because he's sort of he's the mo is I would say he's pretty much a model of something I'd like to be. So he's a serial entrepreneur. He's able to like go into different businesses. But if you really look at what he does, he is the face of the brand. He's not doing the day to day looking at management and like looking at the numbers of the business and stuff. But what he's doing is that he creates opportunities. Again, he's the who for many people. But then he's able to use his brand, use his maybe contacts as well to actually create businesses that provide value to people, but also open up opportunities. You know, and he's a serial entrepreneur in that he's like he owns the Virgin Group, right? Virgin has many different brands under it. That's the sort of thing I'd love to do.
Mm.
So, I used to like, I used to think when I was younger, I wanted to be, initially I thought I wanted to be a doctor and I was like, I don't really like blood, so that's not gonna work. Not that doctors absolutely like blood, but I was squeamish, so I was like, nah. But then next thing was like, you know what, I want to be a business person, but not just a business person, a serial business entrepreneur, because I just thought that just sounded cooler than just a business person. But then thinking about it as well, it's a way of diversifying your portfolio as well. Make sure that you know different things are working, and if one doesn't work, you still got other things to fall back on. But also, I think just the excitement of it. I like the feeling of building something, you know, and getting it to a certain point. I don't know if I necessarily like the just managing and keeping things going once they've gotten to a certain level. You see, so I think my idea is start on the buildings phase, build things up to a certain level, put people in charge, move on to the next one. That's my thinking. But we'll see. I think, yeah, Richard Branson, just to pick his brains and to understand his way of thinking about things and how he actually goes about doing things. I find I get a lot of opportunities come my way. I often have to push them aside because I keep telling myself, no, no shiny object syndrome. You know, let's focus on one thing. You know, just focus on as I still can't focus on one thing. I'm doing about three things at the moment, but at least try and keep the focus on those. Right. Whereas I'm starting to realize that maybe I'm not necessarily meant to be the person who delivers on some things. Maybe I'm meant to be a channel where people come to me because they know I will figure out a solution or they can trust me. And then what I should then do is have people who can deliver on those things and then just make sure that we have an understanding in terms of quality, in terms of what I would want something that has my name on it to deliver on, and then let them run with it. You see, so which is kind of what, if you look at really what Richard Branson does, it's that he's not necessarily doing the day-to-day running of things. He's more the face of the brand. He drives attention to the brand, but then he puts smart people in charge to actually make things run. So he would be the person I'd like to meet and interview.
Right. So like I'm gonna have future episodes. I'm gonna see future you like going across the Atlantic on like high-speed boats and like yes, going up into space and like big giant balloons and such.
That would be amazing, actually. I'm actually quite an adventure seeking person. So I like to travel, I like to do stuff. So like that sounds actually pretty cool. Like fun, a life well lived. So yeah, yeah. Watch this space, I guess.
Okay, okay, definitely. Adventure seeking person. All right, you I got to say you've been sensational today. I thank you for coming on the podcast. Like, hey, I yes, I'm gonna get you back on. I know it will. And yes, like
Okay, I'll hold you to it.
yeah, more conversations need to be had. Like, yes. Would you be able to tell the lovely people how they can find you out on these interwebs?
The first place to find me is LinkedIn. So if you just go into LinkedIn, I think it's linkedin.com/n/Ore Apampa with a hyphen in between. You'll find me there. Just type in my name. You'll find me there. If you type African voiceover artist, you'll find me there. That's probably the best way to find other things I do. If you're interested in Pathfound, so the career education or career prep business I was talking about, go to pathfound.io. So that's pathfound.io. And there you'll be able to sign up to the waitlist and get involved with things going there. We're actually looking to have people to come test the waitlist, come test the platform. So signing up to the waitlist, you'll be one of the first people to sign up. So that could be exciting. And then I've got a YouTube channel, again, same name, Ore Apampa. If you search for that, you'll find me. I'm also starting another YouTube channel, which is going to be focused on teaching people about voiceovers. So I've started that, and that as well is also called, what did I call it? Oh yeah, Voiceover Mentor. There we go. So if you search for that, or just search for my name, or send me a message, and then I'll send you links. But yeah, do link up on LinkedIn. I love to meet people. I love to just learn from people and just make connections. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing from your visitors and your listeners, and should be good. Should be fun.
Excellent. Thank you, Aura, for coming on today. You have been a superstar, a legend, outstanding. Vamos! Yeah. Ah,
And
yeah.
you have been a very great interviewer.
You're most kind. You're most kind. You hear that, people? My rubber check will be in the post. There you go. I'd like to say thank you to you, my friends, my life warriors, for sticking with us to the end of the show. Please stay well, stay safe, be awesome, be excellent, be fantastic, be all the positive beings you can be in this world, and then some. And remember, people, keep pushing forward. Yeah, baby. And we are.